Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here with you. So happy for this opportunity to participate in the AM Power. It's a little bit daunting because we have such amazing speakers on this AM Power, so I'm hoping I can do this justice. But it's always a pleasure working with all of you here in Vital Health Global. We have such an amazing team, so many great leaders. And I can truly say we have the best leaders that I've seen, best compilation of leaders I've seen in any English market. And I feel like we are just, well, I don't just feel like it, I know we're just beginning. So today, I thought a lot about this topic. It's kind of the first time I've done this presentation. I was thinking about doing slides, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be from my heart. And I'm going to give a little bit of an experience on exercise, like physical exercise for a minute. And I'm going to tie it into the business. Don't worry. But I also believe and hope this can provide value for people because as we are in a health industry, we're in a health business, it is important for us to do the best we can to present ourselves in the best way as well and be as healthy as we can and be an example of health as much as possible, right? And as we go along, we're all going to start in different areas of that journey. And so I just want to give a little bit of my journey with my health journey. Throughout my life, I've been generally healthy, which I'm super grateful for. As I was younger, I would exercise quite a bit. I was in weightlifting classes throughout college. I took the same weightlifting class like 3 or 4 different times, so I could just have a place to work out in college. And then later on, after I got married, I went from being in pretty good shape to then less and less and less and less over the years. I kind of stopped working out for a long time. When I was a kid, I remember telling my dad, I said, "Hey," and he used to be, and he had this nonprofit where he had the vision of just helping the whole world in the way that he was working. And I said, "Dad, if you don't take some time to take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to help other people, you know?" And time went on, and he ended up he was just so busy with everything he did, he didn't really have time to get into the exercise portion of his life, and it did impact him later on in life. So one day after during COVID, I was sitting around all the time working, but sitting all the time. And my son came up to me and said, "Dad, if you don't start working out," and then I don't remember what else he said. It triggered it. I said, "Look, he's right. I've got to start doing something because that reminded me of what I told my dad." So we started working out, and then backtrack a little bit on my son's story. He was doing CrossFit for a very long time with my wife since he was about 13, and he was in great shape, but his diet was terrible. He didn't dare to eat pizza, too much carbs, because he didn't know what to eat. And I was like, well, I've actually never learned that part of the fitness myself, so I didn't know how to guide him. And so he's doing the best he could, but he was not eating well for an 18-year-old. He needed to have a very different diet. And there's different ways to go about it. I'm not going to go into what's the best diet, but as far as I'm going to share what worked for him, what changed his life around, and what's also been working for me. But why? This is all again, it's all going to tie into the business. Trust me, we got to I'll get to it. But um, when he was around 17, 18, I was working a second job at the time in the morning doing translation, and one of my coworkers was a female bodybuilder, and she's ripped, like she was amazing, just great shape. She's like, "Yeah, I eat bagels. I eat cereal for breakfast." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "How are you doing this?" And so she explained how things work actually in the bodybuilding world and how they actually get to this place where they're at. And it surprised me, but I'm like, "Yeah." And so she recommended her coach for my son and my wife. I said, "Okay, you guys go first. They're expensive. You guys go first, and then you guys train me when you're done." So he went for about 9 months learning from this coach and then started to train me. And I learned some things. And this is where we start to apply into the business. So it's important to have a good overall plan, right? It's important to have good training, good coaching. At the same time, to Miles' credit yesterday, and that was amazing. If anybody didn't see Miles and Power, please go back and watch that. It was fire. It was amazing. Um, but you're going to continue. You're going to start working as soon as you have some training, right? You're not just. How long do you get trained about working out before you actually start working out? You're going to get trained on some things that are very important, and then once you have a feel for how you do it, then you go out and you do it. But I do believe that training on how to do it is crucial because when it comes to the whole routine. So first of all, what is available to me? What are all the different things I should be looking at to get in the best shape according to my goals? If I just want to have good cardiovascular health, maybe I'm just going to run. So, but in this case, I want to say there were several aspects and things that I learned that I had never known before. So for one was the diet. You can actually eat a very enjoyable diet just within certain parameters, and that parameters will continue to change over time as you progress. So with the macros, and there's different ways to get there. So that's where whether it was network marketing or anything, I'm never going to say this is the only way. If you don't do it this way, it's not going to work. No, because there's a lot of ways to do this. But here's one way that worked. I learned, okay, for my son especially, he was supposed to eat carbs. He was supposed to eat good protein. He was supposed to have the fats and have a balance of all of it within macros. And as you do that, you can literally measure what you eat, and it's not that hard. There's apps that help you do all this. And that's going to be the most important component is what are you eating and how are you eating to help you get more muscle or help you to lose fat. It's going to be the most important component. Somebody said you cannot outwork a bad diet. Okay, so how does this relate to network marketing? There are certain parameters and things that we can do that are going to be more effective than not, right? There's a lot of things at our disposal. And so okay, just I'll go through this whole thing with working out and then we'll go from there. So the diet part is really important. If we watch our macros, at first when I did mine, I've lost around 20 pounds and kept it off. I was down to 25 pounds at one point, but I'm back. And I'll go back into that. But at first I could eat more, and then little by little I had to bring it down as was going towards my goals of where I wanted to be. But I wake up every morning at 4 o'clock. I had to make a change. It was uncomfortable for me. I had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning because of the things I have to do in the morning. And 4 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then now it's about 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays. I don't like waking up early. I've never been an early riser, but it was something I had to stretch, and I'll get into this, stretch and get out of my comfort zone to do in order to get to where I want to be. And now, even at this point, I see things that I need to do here. Like my goal is to get a six pack. I'm 47 years old. I know it's possible. The thing is, I even know exactly what I need to do, but it's so uncomfortable. I know that I've got to get out of my comfort zone again for the next few months if I'm going to get there. So I've got to get to that mental state where I'm going to do it. And I think this applies to network marketing because a lot of times we know what the next step is we need to take, but we need to be willing to get out of our comfort zone and take that step. But let me talk a little bit about some things in the gym when you're doing the exercises, right? So first of all, it's really important to have good form in the gym. The better your form, the more effective your results are going to be. Okay. How does that relate to network marketing? What does that mean, good form? Well, there was a great training by Shanna the other day, Hunter, about how she learned about people in order to respond better and be more effective in helping people to purchase products or helping people to sign up and do her business. So there's form in network marketing. There's training. There's tips that we can get that will increase our effectiveness. When I listen to James and how he builds his business, he does a great job of getting people to tools and to other people to help build his business. So he's got a technique that's worked very well for him. And there's a form to that. There's a pattern for that. And so when you're in the gym, you're learning how do I do this exercise. So you need somebody to train you. Who's going to train me? Well, my upline, in this case, the upline is going to train us on how to do the exercise of what we're going to do. But it's I'll get there. So also in the gym, it's important that we do a warm up, right? So we're going to warm up as we get started. Today I did shoulders, and I had a shoulder injury in the past where it impeded me from doing almost anything. I couldn't rotate my arm like this, right? So I went to a specialist. He said, you got to change your form. You gotta do less weight, more reps, and you got to get past. And to do that, what did I have to do? I had to get past a few um, things that would. So my pride. I had to get past some pride. I went to the gym to bench. I was benching 90 pounds. The guys that were next to me were benching 250. I'm like, they're gonna look at me. They think I'm a wuss, right? It's crazy. I mean, I did two sets of 10, two sets of 15, two sets of 20, but they're doing 250 pounds, and so I don't look good. But you know what? I gotta worry about where I'm at and my progress. In network marketing, sometimes we look around us and see people who are cruising along, or maybe they've already hit high ranks, and we tend to want to compare ourselves to them. And in reality, we should never, ever do that. It's all about where we are at in our journey and how we're going to move forward from where we're at. And they know that because guess what? They used to be where we're at. So we think they're judging us, but if they're good people, they're not judging us. They're rooting for us. They're cheering us on. If I go to the gym for the first time and I'm not in the shape I need to be, and I'm seeing all these people that are in amazing shape, I'm like, man, that's crazy. And I start comparing myself to them, but I shouldn't because they've been in the gym for 5 to 10 years to get to where they're at. And if they're good people, they're going to be rooting for me to get to where they're at too, right? So it's a matter of realizing we got to get past the pride, we got to get past the fear. And so how do some of these things relate to network marketing? uh, the warming up. How do we warm up in network marketing? And this can be actually a little bit uncomfortable. We could do a role play with our sponsor to understand how we can prospect better. We could do a role play, and if our sponsor's not available, we could do a role play with AI. We can do mindset exercises as well, and we can do meditation. These are ways we warm up to get to where we want to be. And I feel like sometimes we don't act because we can't figure out, we can't see ourselves doing the action in a way that makes sense to us to how we're going to be able to interact with our friends and family or whoever we're prospecting, and it's going to be an effective outcome. So sometimes when that happens, what's the best thing to do? We need to ask questions and find out what is your perspective. We can ask our upline, and if you're the upline, you can share your perspective on how you do what you do and why you do what you do. So, for example, I was talking to Jorge when I was in Mexico, and he was sharing with me his mentality when he's doing the close in a presentation and why he does what he does. And I thought, wow, when he shared that with me, it changed my perspective on how to close properly and why it's so important. And because of what he shared with me, now I can step on the stage when I need to do a close. I'm going to have a better perspective and I'm going to do a much better job. Also, and I shared this with you guys in a different AM Power. I used to be so afraid of speaking. I'm not afraid. I wanted to speak, but I was so nervous in public when I was a child. Like, for example, I couldn't read in front of my class. I started to read and my heart beat so fast. I literally had to stop, breathe, and then continue to read. And I finally worked my way through it. And I was so embarrassed. And I had many experiences like that along my journey of learning to be in front of public, learning to be in front of a camera, learning to be on a webinar. I love seeing your faces, by the way. That helps me a lot because on a webinar when you can't see faces, that's the probably biggest challenge for me to get through. So I appreciate being able to see your faces. Uh, but that's but that was me. I had to be able to get past all these things. And sometimes when we're moving forward, having a little perspective. So when I learned, for me, what helped me the most with giving presentations, what's helping me the most here is I have to focus on how am I benefiting the people who are listening right now. That was me. I had to learn to just speak with my heart and with love. How am I benefiting the people and focusing in on them? And can I give you guys something that you could take away today that can help you in your lives or your business? And as long as I focus in on that, I do my best work. That doesn't mean that I'm not comparing myself to anybody else, but I do my best work when I do that. And I'm able to get past all the little fears and other things that get in my way, right? So there's perspectives. When I learned that perspective, it was a literal shift of night and day in my effectiveness on how to present because I got a perspective from other people who were speaking, from other mentors I had that taught me this. And once I got that in my head, I could do it. I could do it. So sometimes we're seeing something that, how do I do that? I don't know if I can do that. And we just need a new perspective. We just need to understand a little bit better. So asking for that perspective from our mentors or giving that perspective as a mentor, as an upline, that's going to be huge. So again, warming up is important. If we don't warm up in the gym, we can have an injury. If we don't warm up in the business, I mean, it's important to go to work, but we do need to have some kind of a understanding of what's the most effective way. And so should we wait until everything's perfect? No, like Miles said yesterday, we should go to work and do the best we can with what we know. And then from there, continue to progress as we go along. As we go along. In network marketing, sometimes we see people that have great results within a month or two, and that's similar to like the gym. People see great results in a month or two, but then after that, it's consistency. So how in having a good fitness, there's something called a lifestyle diet. I need to have something, I need to eat in a way that I feel good about that I can do this for the rest of my life. If it's a diet that I hate, it never works. And we know there's fad diets, all these things that don't work for long term. I have to have something that I can enjoy enough and that I appreciate enough that I don't mind doing for the rest of my life, that I enjoy doing for the rest of my life. And so in network marketing, we do need to have a way that we're going to go to work where we can be consistent for the rest of our life. And that's a process that we're going to learn, that we're going to build skills and strength along the way. One thing that I asked was what's available to me, right? Do I have a gym nearby that I can go to work out in and I've got all this equipment? Well, here it's really important to think what's available to me. How am I going to be the most effective in my work? We have the AM powers, we have Success Saturday, we have the trainings at night that you can start to tap into. We have tools in the boards that have a ton of resources that you can tap into. So what is available to me right now? Am I using all my resources available? Am I using the law of attraction effectively? One of the things that I've had to try to ask myself throughout my career and throughout my life is law of attraction. I believe very strongly in the law of attraction. how far is that going to take me? And then when I've attracted that thing in my life, that opportunity, where does it kind of transition? And we continue to use law of attraction as we go, but where do we transition into our effort and our work and stretching ourselves, right? Because I've seen things in my life where I've attracted an opportunity, but that for me, that was the beginning of an opportunity. But now I've got to go to work and I still need to stretch, I still need to work. And I still need to do my part in order to get to where I want to go in that thing. So we're always going to be stretching, but it's important that we're doing it in a very balanced way. Because when we're going to work, it's important. We need, like I said, it needs to be something we can do consistently. If I go to the gym right now and I put on 250 pounds, that might come right down on my chest, right? I'm just not ready for it, or whatever it may be. So you have there's a balance in growing. But am I going to continue to go every single week, 3 times, 4 times a week to the gym? Yes, every single week. I'm going to continually work out, continually put on a little more, continually to work on my macros, continue to work until I get where I want to be. So that's it's that balance of action and training and mindset. It's all extremely important to have that whole balance. Um, this is more on a personal level. I believe in asking for help from angels. I believe in asking help from God, and I know that through that process, a lot of things come to fruition. We can attract circumstances, people to our lives. So when that person comes in our life, how are we going to interact with that person? The opportunity came. How are we going to handle that opportunity? That's where the training comes in. And so that's why it's so important. We do need to go through the onboarding. We do need to continue to learn and grow. But yeah, let's keep doing what we need to do. And so the next point I was going to make was just like I feel like I know exactly what I need to do to get a six pack. At this point, because of everything I learned, I know what I got to do. It would be, but I know it'd be really uncomfortable. I got to get myself in that mindset and got to go and do it. But at the same time, I believe that as you're growing in your business, you start to feel what that next thing is. What's that next step that you need to take that you're quite not quite comfortable in taking yet? And how do you get yourself to the point that you're going to take that step and go to the next level in your business? So I'm going to share one more analogy, but this one's about language. Okay, many of you speak two languages, so you've been through this, and if you learned them as a child, maybe it wasn't so difficult. But I feel like there's the biggest impediment for people to learn a second language is fear. It's the biggest reason why people don't learn a second language. And what do I mean by that? There have been so many times when I'm talking to somebody and they're like, "Yeah, I'm learning Spanish on Duolingo." Oh, cool, let's practice. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 I'm not going to practice. I'm not going to speak it out loud. No. Why? Why do they do it? Because they're so afraid of making a mistake. And it's like, man, I've been speaking Spanish for about, I don't know, 2000, wait, 1999, more or less. And I learned it a little bit in school, which did me very little good. But about 1999, I've been speaking Spanish for around 25 years. I've made thousands and thousands of mistakes. I still make mistakes. And my form in Spanish, I need to work on it because sometimes I get lazy. I don't pronounce how I should. I have a coworker that said, I understand you better in English than I understand you in Spanish. I'm like, oh, she's in Mexico. Like, come on. So what does that mean? I need to take the time and modulate and pronounce better and speak slower. And right now I speak too fast when I speak. It's part of it. It's just a habit I got to overcome. But but the thing is, you've got to like we're gonna make mistakes along the way. So the thing is to not allow the fear of making mistakes to stop us. But have I trained enough? Do I have a good enough understanding that I can at least make out a sentence and they're gonna understand it? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. And along the way, is it gonna be perfect? No, but if I don't start working on it right now, if I don't start acting, I'm not gonna get there. Duolingo will take people so far. Watching movies in another language will take people so far. It helps, it's good training, but until they start speaking it and practicing it, they won't get there. And I'm telling you, I've talked to so many people that they just won't do it. Whether they want to speak in English or Spanish, they won't take that next step to learn it yet. And so it's like, I'm not saying they'll never do it, but so far I've met people that just at that point they wouldn't do it because of the fear of making a mistake. So it's so crucial that we can move forward in the business with what we have, following our gut, leading with love, doing the best we can according to the knowledge we have. If there's a step that feels like I just don't see myself doing it, I don't know how I'm going to do that effectively. Let's get some perspective. Let's get more training. Let's figure that one out. But then once we have that, Okay, I'm going for it. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna put that on my task today. I'm doing that task. I'm gonna try it at least one time. Then I can go like one or two or three times, and then and whether that's prospecting, whatever it may be. Miles mentioned that we all have different strengths in this business. Some people are born prospectors. They're just so good at prospecting, but they don't do good following up with their team. So that doesn't mean that they should just say, "Oh, I'm a prospector. I'm just not a good trainer. I'm not gonna." No, like we can learn that skill. They can learn that skill. They should, and we can. And I would recommend learning all the skills. You know, you're going to be solid at something, you're going to be great at something, and you can be a great asset to the team. And hopefully, their team will then take their assets and help you in your business as well. And you can work together. So that would be a faster way to get all the assets you need is to take advantage of the team, the resources, take advantage of the trainings, everything to be able to get what you need to be able to do your business. But at the same time, my recommendation is continue to work on yourself so you can be all of those things. So my last thought is this: if I want to be a black diamond, I would compare that to like losing maybe, and this isn't going to be a correct comparison, but I'm just going to throw something out there for the fun of it. Losing like 40,000 pounds in the gym. Can I lose 40,000 pounds in the gym on my own? Impossible. It's impossible. But if I become a trainer and I lose my own 20 and I help 20 other people lose 20 or 10 other people lose 20 and then help them to find out like maybe 10 others that lose 10, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As you get down the line and everybody's working together and everybody's becoming a coach, I can lose 40,000 pounds. It's 100% possible and it's actually a lot faster than I would think. So the same thing in the business. And everybody that's on this call, I don't like to feel like, oh, you're the new person, then so it's gonna I don't feel like we should ever have a prejudgment because somebody came in and they're just barely starting. Everybody comes with life experience. There's nobody on this call that's under 18. Everybody has a life experience that you are bringing with you to start this business, right? So you're all coaches, you're all mentors, you're all the upline, okay? And so it's you're all leaders, and it's a matter of the process that we need to realize that everybody we work with is going to become a leader as they grow in the business. And we need to help them become leaders in the business because as that's how we're going to be able to duplicate. I've seen people so many times. They're amazing. They're the best. They take care of their team so well, but they're carrying their team on their back, the whole team on their back. And they're not allowing or maybe pushing their team to become the leaders. I mean, I love, again, I could keep going back to what Miles said yesterday, but his example of David saying, nope, if you don't do the first half, it looks like these 30 people aren't going to get a presentation. I mean, he just kind of said, we got, and I'm not sure that, there's different ways depending on the person, you know how to work with them. But I mean, that's the only way to grow. It's the only way to actually get to where you want to be is to you be the leader, but then you help everybody else be the leader and you help them become a leader and you help duplicating that process because otherwise it's just too much for one person to do. And I've seen people, okay, I'm going to build a business for myself and I want my son to have a position and my mom to have a position. I'm going to build their businesses as well. It's just like, man, that's a lot to take on. It's like, at least let's get your business done first. And then if you can, build your son's business because you want to give them a favor, your mom's business. Okay, but at the same time, if it's your son, like, why don't we help that person, help them become independent, right? That's just a thought. But so that's what I want to leave with you guys today. I feel like there's so much at our fingertips. There's so much available to us. So instead of us just pushing, let's take a look at what's available. I mean, I can try to cut down a tree with a spoon, and it's going to take me 20 years, or I can take a chainsaw and get done in a little bit of time. Are we aware of the most efficient ways to go about our business? Are we aware? Are we asking the right questions? Are we finding out what else is available? And in order to do that, we need to go to our uplines. We can go to Copilot. We can go to a lot of different sources, but let's be aware of all the different things at our disposal to help us be as efficient as possible. And then let's look in a personal level. I totally recommend law of attraction. Let's attract everything to our life. And then what's the most effective, efficient way to get to where we want to go with everything we have at our disposal. I hope this has been helpful. I know I've kind of been across the board. I kind of bounce back and forth, but I hope it's been helpful in giving perspective. Really appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you so much. And this is it for the AM Power. You guys have a wonderful day.